Hello, I'm Brian Hipp, and my project was on the company Standard Solar. Before we start talking about Standard Solar, we're going to talk about a brief history of solar energy and how it came about and how it was discovered. It's been said that one day of sunlight can last the world 27 years of energy. Of course, we can't capture all the sunlight all at once and turn it all into energy. So, but more and more every day we are putting up more solar panels and capturing more of the sun's energy. And this is a great way of reusing energy, and it's our dependence on fossil fuels is diminishing as we use more and more solar power. The first solar energy that we get is the thermal energy, and this is when the sunlight is trapped and turned into heat, and it's used to heat homes, buildings, water, cars, and this is it lets out no electrical energy at all. It's just used to heat up. And the second is photovoltaic solar power, and this is the actual energy that is trapped by solar panels, and it is converted into energy, and many companies are starting to use this option instead of the normal burning of coal or nuclear power plants to run their companies. Solar energy was first discovered in 1767 by a Swiss scientist, Hortense de Sauget, who built the first solar collector. This was the beginning of solar power as we know it, and this is when it was discovered that you could use the sun's energy to transform it into heating up different elements and heating up different parts of your life. Solar energy was turned into electricity in the 1880s. The first photovoltaic cells were developed which turned light into electricity. It's called the photovoltaic effect. And this was a huge step for solar energy, because obviously now, instead of just using solar energy to heat up, we could now use it and turn it into electricity and use it for everyday life. In 1950, the Bell Company used this design and got a 4% efficiency, but eventually brought that 4% efficiency up to 11% efficiency. This means that the sunlight that they were trapping, they're only getting 4% of its potential power out of it, and the Bell Company turned that into an 11% efficiency, which was quite a substantial incline in the amount of energy they can get out. Now we're going to talk about the history of Standard Solar. On the Standard Solar's website, their motto is, "We make solar energy possible every day." The goal of the company is to solve the world's energy environmental challenges through renewable energy applications. Standard Solar was founded in 2004 by Neville Williams along with Tony Clifford, Lee Bristol, Gary Braun, and they brought the company to life in Maryland. In 2007, Standard Solar branched off and included the commercial, government, and academic institutions as part of their business plan. So instead of just focusing on residential housing, they have a large market now in academic institutions. Many big universities are starting to turn to solar power just because of obviously the green effect it has, and everybody's turning green, and this energy savings it has for the schools. In 2007, they made one of the largest solar electric systems happen. This consisted of 205 kilowatt array atop the U.S. Department of Energy building in Washington, D.C., and this was a big feat for Standard Solar. Currently, Standard Solar employs over 80 employees, and they are still growing. The company was named to the 30th Annual Incorporation 500 for for the second year in a row, which this is a big step for them. This is a big award. It's awarded to the fastest growing privately owned companies in America. So this is a pretty prestigious award that they were given, and this is the second year in a row that they've been awarded it. So every year they're growing and growing, even in this tough economy, which is a tough thing to do nowadays. But the solar field is a increasing market, and it's only expected to go up as the years go on. So they're in a very good market, unlike many companies that are struggling and their markets are failing. The next thing we're going to talk about is the future of solar power and the future that Standard Solar has in the solar power market. It's expected by 2050 that nearly a quarter of the world's power is going to be generated from solar power. This is an extreme increase from the current, which is the world's power is 0.5% of the world's power is produced by solar power. This is a 400% increase. So like I said before, when a time when many markets are failing and people are cutting back and markets are declining, this is the one market that is going to just expand exponentially, and this is great for Standard Solar. It's only going to create more opportunities for them. A 400% increase by 2050. Another good thing that is seen in the solar market is that the solar panel technology, the price alone has dropped 50% and is expected to be as cheap as fossil fuels in the coming years. This is the one issue that's pretty much been keeping solar power out of taking over as the main power source, is the price that it has. It costs many companies and residents to put it up in their household. The panels are very expensive, but they've been getting cheaper and cheaper, and they've dropped almost 50%, and they're dropping every day because of the more manufacturers that are coming out and producing these panels. It's just only driving the prices down, and soon they will become as cheap as fossil fuels. Obama said in one of his speeches that it's his goal to double the manufacturing capacity of renewable energy by 2012. Right now, America lags behind China in the manufacturing of solar panels, and Obama's goal is to double our manufacturing capacity, which, like I said, will only drive the price down more and create more demand for the solar panels and make it easier and more attainable for everyday residents to have it at their house. It's expected that the costs are going to be driven down by nearly 30% a year with this increase in manufacturing in America. The problems for Standard Solar. The main problem organizationally that Standard Solar faces is the extreme growth and expansion that they're facing. They were created in 2004 and just by 4 guys, and in less than 2 years they had over 40 employees, and only 3 years later they doubled that into over 80 employees. So their business is growing exponentially every day, and with the market predicted to increase by 400%, they're only going to have to expand more and more every year, and this is going to turn their small business, a startup company, into a corporation-like mentality, and that's what they're going to have to do to keep up with demand. They recently were raised $8.5 million to expand marketing efforts into different parts of the country and branch out more. So that's already expanding their market and going to cause them to open up new branches and hire more employees. And soon they're going to be either viable for takeover, or they're going to be able to merge, or they're going to be able to have acquisitions to make their company grow, and this is going to turn them from a small business plan into a big corporation. So this is a lot of changes that this organization is going to have to go through. Along with this expansion in their market, they're going to have to manage the changes, and some of the changes, the external forces they're going to be facing is the globalization, the different workforce diversity, the technological change that comes along with growth, and the ethical behavior that they're going to have to make decisions that they're, big corporations have to make that many small businesses don't have to worry about. This growing into a corporation like this just opens up a lot more challenges for the management. Some internal forces they'll be facing is going to be the composition of their management team. They're not going to be able to run like a small business anymore, where one person or the president runs, every part of the company. They're going to have a management system with hierarchy and hire these people, and employees are going to have to change their thinking because they're used to a small business atmosphere as well, and a corporation atmosphere is much different, much more structured, and not as laid back as a small business usually is. So along with the composition of their management team, they need to be able to manage the change in the employees' expectations and be able to manage the different expectations among the employees. And this can be very difficult, and sometimes having disgruntled employees when they're used to something for a while and it's going to be changed because of the different structuring of the management plan. The way that Standard Solar can tackle these challenges is by having three characteristics: adaptiveness, flexibility, and responsiveness. This is what they need to be able to do in order to manage the change that they're going to be going through during their expansion. They need to overcome the barriers that interfere with people working together. That happens when you're hiring 40 people a year. They're going to have obstacles of people working together, and they're not going to want to work for someone. They've been working for someone for so long. They've been doing it a certain way so many years, but then when the management changes, they're going to have to deal with the change in management. It's just every business has to go through it, and it's hard to manage, but they're going to have to be flexible and responsive to this change. They need to rethink the most efficient way to use their resources, how they gather information, and how they develop their people. Finally, to manage the different workforce diversity that they're going to be faced with during their expansion and hiring of employees. Many companies have turned to hiring a diversity officer who focuses on launching new programs, focused on mentoring and increasing the diversity of a company. And this could be a good thing for Standard Solar to try and help them with their diversity that they're going to be facing, because many different cultures, as they globalize and expand, are going to clash, and having a diversity officer that is trained and knowledgeable in the different workforce diversities is going to be helpful for them and help them communicate better as a company. And I'm Brian Hipp, and that's the project on Standard Solar. And I just want to say sorry for the interruptions, but our apartment flooded last night, and we have plumbers that keep knocking at our door. So I apologize if there's any interruptions in the video. Thank you.